Hello, and welcome to Ohio State's segment of Ohio College Week Live. My name is Ariana Sanders, and I'm one of the admissions counselors here. I'm going to go ahead and let our panelists introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Bryce St. Clair. I'm a third year here at Ohio State, and I'm from Anniston, Alabama.
Hi, I'm Jerica Stewart. I'm a third year as well, and I'm from Toledo, Ohio.
Hi, my name is Cameron Rankin. I'm a third year from Houston, Texas.
All right, we're going to get started right here and talk about some of the reasons why we think Ohio State is a great place for you. So today we're going to cover a couple things, talking about Ohio State and the campus. We're also going to hear from our panelists and use the bulk of our time to hear about their student experience here. Then we're going to go into the application process where we talk about Common App, and then hopefully we'll have some time for questions at the end. The first reason why you are looking at schools is, of course, to find that great academic home for you. So why Ohio State? We are ranked in the top 20 among public universities. We have 175 different majors that you can choose from. So no matter what you want to do in college, or even if you change your mind a couple times, you'll be able to find the perfect major for you here. We're also very friendly with allowing students to do double majors and pick more than one minor. And we do have a lot of the pre-professional programs that you might be looking for, such as pre-med, pre-law, physical therapy, and veterinary medicine. So a lot of different programs that you can choose from academically. The other strength in Ohio State is the breadth and depth of our campus. So we have a lot of laboratory area, a lot of libraries on campus. Really anything you need to do around here, you can do on our one comprehensive campus. So whether you're a medical student or a veterinary student or a business student, everything is located on our Columbus campus. So no matter what you need throughout the day, you can be here. And then again, you can have access to some of those other majors. So even if you're a business student, you can still get some experience working with our history professors or working with our education professors. So that's the nice thing about having a comprehensive campus. The community here is one of the best parts about Ohio State. We really get along very well, and we love being a Buckeye. So even if you're from a different state as another student, or from even a different country, coming to Ohio State really will give you that sense of community. There's a lot of ways we do that. The first is our residence halls. We do require our first-year students to live on campus, and we have a lot of great first-year experience programming then to meet a lot of students. Currently, we only require our first-year students to live on campus. That is something that could be changing over the next couple of years. So depending upon where you are in high school, you may see a couple of different living requirements. But the nice thing about the community here is that it's really focused and starts being built that first year. Another great part about the community is our proximity to Columbus. So you can always be headed downtown and get to learn a little bit more about the city. We're only about 2 miles north of the downtown area, so a lot of our students will use that and really can feel connected to the Columbus community as well. So let's talk a little bit more about that community and the spirit that we have here. One of the big things that I love about Ohio State and probably some of the students can recognize too is all of the involvement we can have here. So we have over 1,000 student organizations. That can be a benefit to you in a couple different ways. Maybe you join Greek life and you get to meet people that way and kind of have that social atmosphere. Maybe you join a philanthropy or something based on your major and you're getting a little bit of experience that will prepare you for the real world. Or you're doing something fun like playing an intramural sport. So that community is always something that will benefit you while you're here. Another great thing about Ohio State is the location. So I mentioned earlier that Columbus is only about 2 miles away. That can come in handy for a lot of reasons. We have some professional sports teams. So if you want to go downtown for a hockey game or maybe a AAA baseball game, you can do that. We also will use Columbus as a great resource for students to get some work experience. So being the capital of Ohio, a lot of students will go downtown, work for state government, maybe be a page or something like that with a law firm as well. We also have great Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 companies located in Columbus. Some of those include Wendy's, Nationwide Insurance, the Limited Brands, Abercrombie & Fitch, Cardinal Health. So there are a lot of companies that are really looking to have Ohio State students as their interns, And then some students will even start working there full-time once they have graduated from the university. Columbus is really great because we have a lot of the things that a big city has, but it's in a much smaller environment. So we have the sports, the culture, the parks, the zoo, the international airport, all the things you would need, but it's in a really manageable area and a little bit smaller of a city. So in terms of population, the city of Columbus is the 15th largest city. So we are one behind San Francisco. And then if you're looking for some cities that are pretty comparable as well, actually a little bit smaller than Columbus, but you can think of Denver, Colorado, or Nashville as a similar size to the city of Columbus. So about 1.7 million people live here. So one thing that you know about Ohio State already, I'm sure, is the spirit and tradition. We have our great football team here, a pretty awesome basketball team as well. And then we even have 34 other Division I sports teams. So whether you're interested in men's and women's ice hockey, or tennis, or gymnastics, or wrestling, we have a lot of varsity sports that I'm sure you'll be interested in going to. And the cool thing is a lot of them you can go to for free as a student. So the spirit and tradition will kind of carry you everywhere, whether it's at a sporting event or an alumni event. That's one of the things that we think is really special here too. So now you're probably tired of me talking, so we have our great students here that are going to talk to you a little bit about their experience here. So if you've been tuning in this time, this is where we really want you to start typing questions so that they can answer those for you. I do have a couple in mind first, but be sure to be submitting your questions that you can ask our students. So just kind of as a refresher, I want you guys to go back around, say your name, where you're from, and then of course your major or your minor here if you have one.
Okay, I guess I'll start. My name is Bryce St. Clair. I am a third year here at Ohio State. I'm from Anniston, Alabama, so I live 560 miles south of here. I am a Romance language major, so I study Spanish, French, and Portuguese, and I'm pre-optometry with a linguistics minor, so that's a weird combination. Basically, I want to do Doctors Without Borders once I graduate, so that allows me to speak more languages and also be an eye doctor.
Okay, again, I'm Jerica Stewart. I'm from Toledo, Ohio, and I'm a strategic communication major with a nonprofit minor, so I would love to be PR for nonprofit one day. And I'm also a junior.
My name is Cameron Rankin. I'm a third year from Houston, Texas, and I'm currently double majoring in psychology and neuroscience. So one day I can go to grad school and get a PhD and do research in social psychology.
The first thing I wanted to ask you all about is how did you end up at Ohio State? We have a mix of in-state and out-of-state, a mix of majors. So what were you really looking for when you were looking at colleges, and then how did you end up being a Buckeye?
I think go first. Okay. So I wanted to get out of Texas for a bit, just see what else there was out there, and also came from a fairly large school. My graduating class was about 1,000 students, so I also like the big school feel. So when I was looking for schools, I was looking for something out of state, a lot of school spirit, and just something that was bigger than me and like other people recognized. So Ohio State was definitely a name that I wanted to check out. So when I came to campus to visit, I loved every part of it, and I applied, and here I am.
Again, I'm from Toledo, so I'm about 2.5 hours away, and I actually came from a very small school. My class size was about 16 or so, so big difference coming here, but I knew that I wanted to go somewhere large. I looked at all Big Ten schools, and I was actually a little bit late getting into Ohio State when I decided I was going to come, but I'm so excited that this is what I decided to do, because I love OSU. It's been one of the best decisions of my life, so a big change for me, but I love it all the way.
I'm kind of like Jericho, where I came from a very small town. My graduating class was like a small private school, so I graduated about 20 in my class, and I wanted the total opposite of what I had in high school. So when I was looking for colleges, I wanted one with a good reputation, but that also was big enough to give me the traditional college experience, like a football team, a college town. I wanted to be like Greek life and student organizations, and the main thing was diversity for me. So I'd been to other schools in the South. My brothers had been to other Southern schools, and it was nothing like new for me. I kind of knew everything already, and I wanted to go out of my comfort zone. So I saw Ohio State. They had an optometry school there, and I applied to Ohio State, came up here, and then fell in love with the diversity campus. So it was just a matter of convincing my mom to let me go here. But it's like been the best decision since I've made thus far.
Awesome. So Ohio State is really a place where you will never have a day that's like another. There's never a dull moment. So tell us about some of your experiences that you've had here maybe a job you've had or an extracurricular activity that you've had or a club that you joined in?
Okay. I came in as again, I'm a strat com major, so I was in a scholars group called Media Marketing and Communication. And so last year with that group, we got to take a trip to New York for only $200, I believe, and spent a couple days in New York, walked around, visited some firms that were communication related, and got to learn about some other options and fields. And I'm in another organization called BASCA. This year we went to Chicago, and same kind of idea. Went to two different advertising firms and one the largest PR firm in the world, Edelman. And we got to just talk to staff members and see the different options for what you could do with my major, learn how to get into certain positions. So that was a really great experience for me.
I'll go. This summer was orientation year, so I helped out in orientation. I'm welcoming all the new Buckeyes, their parents, and it was a really eye-opening experience. Just seeing what it was like when I was back when I was young, a freshman. I was really nervous, so I got to ease people's worries as they came to college. So that just was a really great experience talking to faculty, staff, advisors, just organizing all of orientation, making sure everyone started off on good stuff.
For me, I would have to say, you never have a dull moment at Ohio State because everything is, there's always something going on. There's always organization or some sort of group on campus. So my friend Liana and I decided this year, because we don't see each other anymore with our classes, that we were going to do at least one fun thing a week that brings us together. So whether it's yoga or singing a gospel choir performance or going to one of our student organizations, OUAB, which is the Ohio Union Activities Board, they bring movies into our university union. They also, our student union area, they also bring big names for concerts and stuff. Whatever's going on, we will decide to do once a week. So it doesn't matter what we do, but we always do something spontaneous and fun. So you can, you're never bored, and we always choose at least one thing a week that we like to do together.
Can you talk about how you balance being very involved in a lot of student organizations and also making time for academics here?
I can start. Okay, so I said you learn time management when you come to college for sure. Unlike high school where you go to class and you come home and you have an extracurricular activity, but then you mainly just do homework and go to bed. College is a little bit different, so I've learned to utilize the time I have in between classes, before class, obviously, and after class, to go to a place that you can get work done. So that might not be your room, it might be the library, it might be the student union, but just making sure you're doing everything possible to keep up with your grades, because it's very easy to push them aside because mom and dad and your brothers aren't there to remind you to do your homework, and it's kind of all on you. So if you forget to do your homework, that's on you once again. So I've just learned go to the library, especially because I can focus there and everyone else is kind of looking for the same thing.
I think another important aspect of the classroom is how many students are in there, what the workload is like. So for students who are maybe getting to those AP classes as juniors, can you talk about how maybe being in college compares? And then again, looking at how many students are in the classroom with you too.
I'd say AP-wise coming here, I took a lot of AP classes in high school, so I came in as a sophomore, so it was a really cool experience, but still coming here, having a 300-person Cambridge Street lecture was really different, but honestly, it's really good with having student-faculty interaction. There's 19-to-1 faculty-student ratio, so it's really cool just to be able to talk to these world-renowned professors that publish the textbooks that you're using, and all the faculty also have office hours where they have to be in their office and just open for students, just come talk to them about the material and make sure they're all on the right page. So even though the classes may be big, my lecture was the largest I've ever had. Right now, the average is a lot lower, so it's really cool that I'm always able to access faculty anytime I want to.
Also, something kind of cool too about the larger classes. You have recitation classes, so you may have 500 people in your lecture, but then once a week you'll have a small, about 25 people class with a student, teacher, or a TA that will be kind of instilling more of the things that you learned in class and the lecture, so that you can understand them. You'll have homework in that class, so they break it down, so you're not just one person in the middle of camp.
I think that kind of what they were talking about, your class sizes kind of go down as you get more advanced in what you're studying. So my freshman year, I probably had, I think, 1 or 2 classes of like stereotypical college size, 200 kids per class. But now that I'm a junior, I have, I think, 1 class like that out of my 5. And the majority of mine, my Portuguese classes and Spanish classes, I'm one of 12 to 15 students. So I was kind of surprised. I'm almost kind of surprised when we were looking at Ohio State because we are a large university. And then when I tell her, oh yeah, I'm like I was in my class of 15 students, she kind of gets blown away. But it is like they have the faculty, like you said, like the faculty support the students. So I mean, you're gonna have classes the more specialized you get with like 15 students, and then we're 12 students on them.
Awesome. Do you want to talk about some of the experiences that you've had outside of the classroom or even off Ohio State's campus that are good resume builders?
Yeah, I'll talk about some of it. So for psychology, I'm currently in a research lab working on my thesis right now. So it's a really good experience to talk to the faculty and the graduate students in the lab. So whenever I'm at a class, I'm not busy, I can go by my lab, run different experiments, and finally start working on my thesis paper in the fall. So it's a really cool way just to get a leg up on applications for graduate school.
I know that with my major, they require you to study abroad, or whether it's studying a foreign language, getting immersion hours in the United States or at Ohio State, or studying abroad. I chose to study abroad for my major. So I went to Barcelona, Spain this past summer, and it was just good because I'm a Romance language major. I was able to practice my Portuguese, Spanish, and French in Barcelona because I was centrally located in Spain. But on the weekends, I was able to travel to like Lisbon, Portugal, or Montpellier in southern France, and I was able to like practice that. So coming back and saying, yeah, I got travel experience. I also took classes there, and then also making my application more competitive for optometry school when I apply.
What would you say has been one of your favorite OSU experiences that you've had so far? Tough one, right? So many.
Oh, yeah. I'll talk about a fun class experience I had. I can't say it's my favorite. There's a lot of stuff to do on campus. My favorite thing that I did in the class was a sociology class, and we're talking about deviance and behavior and how people try to stick to certain norms. And so my professor took us to the Union and the library, and we basically performed a deviant act in the Union, where half of us we literally just froze for 5 minutes. We didn't move. And people in the beginning didn't notice, and then all of a sudden you hear people whispering and saying, "They're not moving." And it was great because literally you just had to freeze for the entire 5 minutes, and then he would signal us, and we all left, and we had to record the responses of people and like how we felt doing it. It was a really great experience. It was hilarious to hear people talk about it and to be able to just kind of put what we were learning in the class into practice.
I'd probably say convocation, whether it was like my freshman year or like past years when I helped out with it. Just seeing your entire your class with you at some point is just an amazing experience, and seeing the president and all the faculty there, just there's so much Ohio State spirit, and it's the first time like, wow, this is really happening to me, like I'm actually going to college now. So it was a really cool experience, and all the celebrations, the first week is welcoming, so there's a lot of different concerts and activities going on for students. So it's just an eye-opening experience, and that's definitely one of my favorite memories here.
I have to say my favorite memory is, well, coming from Alabama, I didn't know what a Buckeye was when I first came here. So for those of you who don't know, like I didn't know, a Buckeye is our mascot. It's a type of poisonous nut that's like local in Ohio. And when someone said Buckeyes, I thought like deer, like bucks, like deer. And so when people said go Bucks, I was like, yeah, like deer, go Bucks. And then I actually went to my first football game as a freshman in our the student section we call Block O in our football stadium. And when I was there, people were teaching me like what a Buckeye really was, and I guess how this like deer thing. And so I like learned all the chants and everything. It was just being like in community with people the first time. So I was so used to like Southern football games and like all the Southern football teams, but like being in a Big Ten school and like what the traditions are here and how people dress here, and it was very cool just to be like accepted part of the family when I was totally estranged like from everything at the very beginning.
Okay, so I hope that was a good introduction to the students and their experiences here. Now we want to check in on some of the questions that you all have been asking.
So we have a question from John in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm just wondering about the transition to Ohio State, especially since it's such a big school. What helped you with that transition to Ohio State?
Okay. I think when living on campus your first year, or I ended up living in my first 2 years, was a great way to initially meet people. The roommates you have, whether you're picking them or whether you're going in random roommate, you just get to form people to immediately hang out with and to experience things with. Also, I joined an organization, like a choir, right off of the bat, like the first month I was here. So that was another great way to get immersed in an aspect of OSU. And then I've been in this choir for the last 3 years, and so I've gotten to grow with these other members who've been there. So that's my advice.
One of the cool things about Ohio State is that it's so big, so you're gonna find someone that you get along with really well. Like you have to because there's so many people here. And one thing that really helped me was on first year experience. FYE, it's a huge office here that just focuses on your first year at Ohio State. So whether it's programs, community building, they have a lot of different things going on. Focus just building you and the skills you need to succeed in college. So it was really great having this office devoted just for me, just so I can get adjusted to college.
For me, the big transition was as a freshman, basically, my first couple of weeks at Ohio State, I was kind of locked in my room. I was worried about studying and being to my roommate instead of like going out and doing things. So I regret that, so I definitely recommend you guys don't do that. But then I decided to venture out of my comfort zone and get involved with a couple organizations like I was in high school. So I joined like the optometry club, which is a pre-professional club, obviously, for my major. And then I also got involved with like some fun organizations like the Latino Student Association, even though I'm like not Latino. I like speaking Spanish and like salsa dancing, so it was fun. So I did that, and then after I really think involvement helped, because once you get involved with things, you start seeing people on campus, seeing people in the student union, seeing people when you go in your building, and it was just nice to like build a community super fast. And the cool thing about Ohio State is like, we are very diverse, we have a student population, but once you get involved, you make that population seem a lot closer and a lot smaller. So when I was a freshman here, they always told me it's very easy to make a big university small, but not so easy to make a small university big. And so I was able to get that dichotomy of I do get a multicultural campus, but then I also see people all the time on campus because I got involved, and I definitely would recommend that as a transition point.
So a big part of the first year experience for students is actually living on campus. I have a question here from Aaron, and he wants to know what kind of housing is available on campus, and what kind of housing did you guys live in as freshmen?
I know that I lived as a freshman in Morrison Tower, which is, okay, so the campus is divided into 3 sections. We have North Campus area, South Campus area, and West Campus area, and each kind of were broken up differently with like room styles and that kind of stuff. I know I wanted just one roommate, so South Campus had like the one roommate kind of deal going on. So I wanted a one roommate person, and I signed up to live in a learning community. I wanted to be in an international house learning community, basically. So I wanted a roommate from a foreign country. And so when I did that, I basically was placed in the Morrison Tower. And so that's where I lived on South Campus. But it was just a one-person room, or two-person room. Excuse me, two-person room, and then we had a common bathroom. That was a community-style bathroom, and an international roommate, international people on the floor, and then we had Americans, like obviously interacting with them and teaching them about America.
I lived on North Campus my freshman year, and so that was basically kind of a sweet style. So we had 4 people who lived in a room, and it sounds like a lot, I understand, but it really ended up being great. There's 4 of us, and we had kind of a divider in the rooms, but one half of the room, or one room, was for our studying and for TV watching, and the other room was for sleeping. And we also had our own bathroom, so it worked out great for me. My roommates who loved it, and my sophomore year, I lived in the South, but it was a different dorm that was kind of similar. So yeah, there are different kinds on campus, and everybody claims that theirs is the best depending on where they live. So I think North Campus is the best, but
I lived on North Campus as well. I had an honors learning community. But one of the cool things I love about the housing program is your RA, your resident advisor. I'm an RA right now, so they're really great upperclassmen resources that lives on your floor to provide you with information about programs, support, just being there. So it's always like a really cool thing knowing I can walk down the hall to like my RA and just talk to them about life or worries, or just making sure I'm not missing on anything that Ohio State has to offer.
And kind of going along with that theme of living on campus, I have a few questions from various students, but one from Sarah in Seattle. She's wondering, what were the challenges and the benefits of living with a roommate? Did you encounter any kind of challenges during your first year? And if you did, how did you resolve that? And if you could talk a little bit about your experience with living with a roommate and the benefits and issues that may have come up.
It's a very intimate space. You have the person. You get really close with the people you live with, whether you want to or not. So I'm best friends with one of my roommates out of the 4 right now. So I still keep in contact with the other 2. But it's a really great experience. I mean, if there's any major problems that come up, 3 weeks in, you have to make a roommate agreement with your RA that I spoke about earlier. So just kind of set boundaries and lines about what's going on. But for the most part, all my roommates went along fairly well. So I just acted fairly normal and things worked out.
One important thing I will say too about housing is before you start your freshman year here, you will fill out a housing contract. So you will tell Ohio State some information about you. Maybe, if you want to be with somebody who gets up at 3 a.m. to study, or somebody who sleeps in till 11 a.m. and has all night classes. We'll talk to you about maybe roommates who might bring their twin sister who goes to another school to stay on campus often. So we're going to make sure that people have the same mindset as you do in terms of who you're going to live with. And that's also when you're going to give us your preferences. So if you think that, living with one person doesn't sound as fun, maybe you don't know anybody, you want to live on North and have 4 people and be nice and cozy, you can preference all North campus dorms. Or maybe if you're an only child like me and you're thinking, I don't want to share space with 4 people, you can make sure you can be on South Campus. So we will ask you all of those questions before you get here and move in, and hopefully that will make that transition a little bit more comfortable too.
All right, the next question we have is from Sarah in Seattle, Washington. She wants to know what the campus food is like.
Oh, okay. So I like the campus food a lot. I now no longer live on campus. I do not like that. I like so basically Ohio's really cool because there's not like one dining area where you go to eat. All over the university, there are like dining facilities. So if I have a class on North Campus, there's like a burrito shop on North Campus. If I'm on South Campus, there's like an all-you-can-eat buffet on South Campus. And there's like a place I can get sushi on South Campus. If I'm on West Campus, I get some like fresh, I can get a smoothie or some like fresh options in with like our giant rec center. So it's like whatever you're hungry for or whatever's near you, you can go get. And then I also like it because like a lot of my friends or people, I guess people I made friends with on campus, decide to go on these like different diets or different meal styles when they're on campus. So like one friend went vegan, one friend went vegetarian. I met somebody who was kosher, and it was cool because every one of my friends found food on campus they could eat. And it was really interesting because, I mean, obviously Ohio State has this massive student population that's diverse, but it was cool they could cater to each one of those like dietary needs. But my favorite place to eat on campus was this like carbo loading place called Mirror Lake Creamery and Grill. And they had like the best burger and fries and milkshakes. I would just console myself and carbo load after a chemistry exam. So I just like always went there, and I definitely miss it. But yeah, it was a good time.
All right, and the next question is from Rob in San Diego. Being that he is from the West Coast, he's never been to the Midwest yet, even Ohio. He's wondering what the city of Columbus is like, and what is the best part about Columbus, and how's that played into your experience as a student at Ohio State?
I can talk about this experience first while you all are thinking. As an admissions counselor, I do a lot of recruitment of our out-of-state students, and I've done that in San Diego, and LA, and Atlanta, and in Miami. So a lot of our biggest cities around the country. And I can see that Columbus offers a lot of the same things those cities offer, just in a little bit closer of an area. The traffic isn't as bad here, so that's really nice. I think a lot of us will maybe complain about adding an extra 10 minutes to our commute, and then you go to one of those cities and that's nothing. But in terms of art galleries and entertainment and the concerts that come here, the companies that call Columbus home, you're going to find a lot of the same things that you would find in some of those bigger cities around the country, but they're just a little bit closer here to the campus even.
I mean, personally, as a member of the Latino Student Association, a lot of us like to go salsa dancing downtown on the weekends. So it's cool because I came from a very small town in Alabama where like that wasn't a thing. And so when I came here, people were like, "Oh, let's go salsa dancing," and I said, "Oh, okay." And since first year students can't have cars on campus, I was able to use one of the buses. And the one cool thing about Columbus is that we have a public transportation system. So I swiped my university ID and rode the bus down to the salsa place and got off, spent the entire time there, danced a couple of friends, and then went back home on the bus as well. It was cool because it was right downtown. We took a bus to get there. It was free. So it was just a great way to kind of tie in like the university aspect, but also the downtown nightlife of what Columbus had.
I love the city on the short north. It's an area about a mile north of south of campus, so really cool area. Lots of art galleries. Lots of cool things going on. On the first Saturday every month, they have art galleries open, different musicians in the street playing, and just a lot of culture there. So it's a really cool area and really convenient next to campus where you can just see a lot of cool things that you would not usually expect.
All right, so I have a question here from Julia in Dallas, Texas. Being that Ohio State is so big, she is a little concerned about her ability to connect with professors and advisors on campus. Can you talk about how maybe you guys have connected with your professors and how easily, or maybe even if you have had difficulty connecting with them, what that experience has been like as a student?
I'd say that, again, we talked about there being some larger classes, but that all professors and TAs are required to have office hours. So it really impresses a professor to be able to go to office hours and like if somebody comes and tells them they have a problem or they just want to meet them and have information and explain to them, that's great. And that you can do that and they welcome you to come because they say that office hours are really underutilized by students. A lot of people just don't go. So I'd say you can do that. I actually had one professor in one of my larger classes. I did really well in the class, and I learned about a couple different things, and he asked me to be his research assistant for the school year. So that's an example of being able to connect with professors, especially once you get higher up in your major classes, when you're smaller, when you're more focused on what you're doing. I'd say it's definitely possible to make relationships, to meet with your advisor and have them give you advice about things you need to do for class planning or for careers very specific.
All right, so actually from right here in the state of Ohio, Beatrice Pepper wants to know, are there any cool concerts or events that take place in Columbus that you can be involved with?
I know that I personally, I guess freshman year, went to a concert. If you know Neon Trees, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they came to Columbus. I'm not like a modern, like, listen to these, I listen like whatever on the radio, like whatever's popular I listen to. So the fact that I knew who Neon Trees were, I was like, oh great, I'll go to this concert. And I looked up where the venue was, and it was across from our student union on Newport. So was there something to do on campus? Yes, there's something to do on campus, but it's like across the street from like where I was hanging out currently. So I bought my ticket and then I was doing my homework and it was like 15 minutes till the concert started. They were letting people in and I crossed the street and went to the concert. So it was very cool just being like, yeah, I'm across the street at a Neon Trees concert. And when I was finished, I walked across back the street and then I went back to studying. So that was a weird example, but like, yeah, they definitely have big names that come to campus, and then also, I mentioned before, like the Ohio Union Activities Board brings people like the band Perry. They brought like 2 Chainz and Rihanna and Wilco. They bring like big names to campus, and once again, unlike other smaller schools that probably can't do that, like I've never heard of a smaller school in Ohio doing that. Ohio State was able to do that, so it was just cool. Just even if you don't want to go downtown or don't want to do that, you can still stay on Ohio State's campus and get all that exposure.
And this question is probably more for Ariana, but Rachel is asking, what is the biggest factor that plays into being admitted to Ohio State?
Sure. So at the end of the presentation, probably with about 10 minutes left, I'm really going to try to talk through the admissions process, especially for those of you who are going to be starting that application here in August. But it is a holistic review. So that means everything you turn into us, we're going to look at. So whether that's your letter of recommendation, your extracurricular involvement, of course your ACT or SAT, as well as your high school transcript, we're going to look at all of that and try to get a sense of who you are. We don't do interviews at Ohio State, so everything you put on the application is really submitting who you are as a person and as a student. So of course we're going to look at those primary high school factors, but we do ask for a lot more information from you other than that too.
And then another question from Julia is academically, what is Ohio State known for? We all know that Ohio State has a great athletics program, but Can you speak a little bit about what academic programs stand out at Ohio State?
Yeah, the cool thing about Ohio State is no matter what major you come here for, it's going to be a great one in that actual specialization. So as a university, we're ranked in the top 20 among all public universities. We also have some programs that I would say are pretty popular: business, engineering, education, political science. We have great professional programs. So the veterinary program, the physical therapy program, optometry, those are all very strong programs as well. And then the cool thing is too, we have a lot of specialized things like in agriculture or in things like that that you might not see at every university. Welding engineering, you can only find at a handful of places. So we have a lot of programs, and they're really going to be strong no matter what, kind of carrying that Ohio State name especially.
All right, the next question is from Bert in Dallas. Football's big down in Texas. He wants to know, what are football game days like here on campus?
They're crazy. My first game day, I actually did not go to, which I'm really sad about. Just like waking up, I see waves of people walking across campus in scarlet and gray. I'm like, what's going on? What did I just wake up to? And everyone from like the entire state of Ohio and beyond just is really involved. And when I actually went to my first game, it's just, I don't know, my heart skipped a beat when I walked into the stadium, like took my seat and just saw all these fans like yelling and cheering. It's like there's nothing going on outside of the stadium on game day because everyone's there and just loving our team and watching them win.
I kind of like how overwhelmed you get when you're in the stadium because okay, so where I'm coming from is like the southern football games I attended. So like guys dressed up in blazers or like vests and like ties, but I'm sure it's khakis. So I wore that to my first football game, and everyone else didn't. And so like I was expecting girls to be in like sundresses, earrings, like all that kind of stuff. Nope, that's not. And that Texas, so that's how it's like for you. Like, don't do that. That's not what's gonna happen. But it was cool because I was there in Block O, and I was looking around, and they were like, "We have an attendance today of 107,000 people," and I was looking around, and you're just overwhelmed by all the people who are there to cheer on your team, and it's just cool just to be in that like massive group of and basically family because everyone's there cheering on like who you're cheering on basically. And it's a very, very cool thing. And then you obviously learn not to dress like a Southern football game because everyone's wearing like hoodies and t-shirts. It's a lot more fun. So
Definitely keep your questions coming, keep writing in. I did want to start going over that admissions information for you so that we can make sure we get through that, and then if we have some time left, we'll pull back and go through some other questions. So the big thing about Ohio State in terms of admissions is that we are on the Common Application. So that application comes out on August 1st, and then it is out for our November 1 early action deadline, and then finally closes on February 1. Even if you're not a junior, those dates will pretty much stay the same year to year. So kind of thinking of those 3 months will get you through that process. So early action is not binding. Early decision is where you would only apply to one school like that. Early action, you can apply to multiple schools. So we want our students to apply early action so that they can be considered for our priority deadlines for scholarships, as well as our honors and scholars program. So as a junior, that means a couple of things. First is that letter of recommendation that you need. Probably a good time to start asking that counselor or teacher. It's also meaning that the ACT or SAT needs to be taken over the summer or in one of those early fall months because we're going to need that by November 1. So this is really the time to start preparing to apply, even though August may seem a little bit away from now. Really is kind of getting everything together, and that can take a couple months. You know, the resume, the letter of rank, etc. So we will want that by November 1, and then that way you're going to be the highest priority in terms of being admitted to the university, and of course the scholarships, which are very, very important to students. When it comes to reviewing the application, you go to a committee review. There are various things that we're looking at. First, we're going to look at your high school performance. So how did you do on the ACT or SAT? That will help us compare you to students nationally. So every student's taking a similar test there. We can look at those scores. If you are taking the SAT, the writing portion is included. So it's very easy. You just go, sit down for the test, and you're good. If you're taking the ACT, we do want you to take the writing portion of that. So it's a little bit longer and it costs a little bit more, but that is one of our requirements for admission to the university is to have an ACT score. When it comes to those tests, our average ACT is a 28 for the class of 2013, and then a 1260 SAT for the class of 2013. So be checking our website, see how those numbers change as we're admitting a new class, but those are really good benchmarks for you to meet to apply to the university. Another important piece in terms of looking at high school performance is, of course, your GPA, how you compare to students at your school using a class rank. So we're going to look at those two factors. If your class does not have a rank, that is okay. Hopefully your counselor can provide us some more information on that. When you're looking at your high school transcript, we even go into the classes you're taking. So we want to see, are they taking all the AP classes that the school offers? Are they taking the most rigorous math courses? Are they keeping up with their science? So math and science are those two subject areas where you can pretty much not take those your senior year and kind of coast through, maybe add a couple study halls, that type of thing. We really want you to stay in those two courses as a senior. And the other one we're looking for is that foreign language. So a lot of states will only require 2 years of a foreign language. We really want to see 3 years of that as well. The reason why we're looking at those 3 subjects is they're the best predictors of success in college. So definitely keep up with those courses. As far as AP classes go, those are great. Those are what we can identify as the most rigorous courses at your school. So we want to see those. And then if you take those tests, you get a 3 or higher, you do have the potential to get some college credit for your courses too. So you can never have too many AP tests. Anything you can send us is great there. We do have a lot of additional factors that we're going to look into other than those academic pieces that I mentioned. So we require 1 letter of recommendation from a teacher or a counselor. You can send in more if you're interested, but that one will complete your application. We also have an essay. The essay is chosen by Common App. So whatever prompt they give you, that's what we're going to use as our essay for the basic application. And then, of course, we want to see all of your involvement. So on that section of Common App, be sure to fill that out, show exactly what you're doing, what leadership you have. And we're not necessarily looking for a certain volunteer experience or things like that. We just want to see the combination of athletics, volunteering, maybe a part-time job, etc. So really showing that you can be a leader, you can also do a lot of stuff outside of the classroom, but still maintain a lot of good grades. So there are plenty of extra things that we're looking for in terms of your application as well. So once you've turned in all of those factors, you're good to go. For our early action students, we will get back to you before the end of the calendar year. So you apply by November 1, you'll hear by the time New Year's rolls around. For our regular decision students that apply by February, it will take about 10 to 12 weeks for you to get a decision. So that's one nice thing too about applying early action is you're going to hear back from us a lot sooner. A lot of students are wondering about scholarships and the fees associated with Ohio State. So our tuition is right around $10,000 for our out-of-state students, or excuse me, our in-state students, and $25,000 for our out-of-state students. You can also look at your room and board being around $10,000. So how do we cut that down? And that's through our merit scholarships. So these merit scholarships, all you do is apply to the university. Pretty easy way to get money from us. Just send in the Common App and the materials required with that, and you're good to go. So we have a great scholarship for our out-of-state students called the National Buckeye, and that is $12,000 a year, good for all 4 years that you're here. So we want to see a 28 ACT and be in the top 40% of your graduating class for that scholarship. We do have 3 others that can be stacked with that scholarship that are pretty similar in terms of requirements. Some of them get a little bit more competitive with class rank and ACT, but starting at that National Buckeye is a good place to start. And those scholarships are open to anybody, whether they're in-state and out-of-state, and those run anywhere from $1,000 to $6,000, again, renewable for all 4 years that you're here. So we really are trying to make students who are being successful academically have those scholarships right off the bat. So the Merit Awards website is where you're going to go to check in on those. Hopefully for some of you that are juniors or sophomores, the amounts will go up. So it's always good to keep in mind that website so that you can check the amount as well as the criteria for those scholarships. So as I mentioned briefly, this slide here will show you our tuition and fees. So again, that non-resident is right around 25. Our in-state students a little bit above 10. This also talks about our room and board costs. So that room and board will include living in one of your residence halls as well as a meal plan for an entire year. So this number is not broken down by semester, but it is for that full freshman year that you're here. So these numbers are based on the best averages. Maybe it depends on how much you eat at the residence hall, Probably after today, you might want to get the largest meal plan after we talk about how good it is, but there is a little bit of fluctuation in those prices for room and board. Same thing goes with the number of roommates you may have or where you live on campus, maybe how new your residence hall is, etc. But that 10,000 number is a pretty good ballpark for your room and board. So if you're thinking about getting that National Buckeye, let's say you're an out-of-state student from Alabama, from Texas, or wherever you may be from, you can see that getting that $12,000 will pretty much cut your tuition and fees in half, or kind of take care of that room and board cost. So that is a great scholarship for our out-of-state students, and again, will really be driven by that early action deadline for scholarships. So one of the things about Ohio State is the value. We understand that going to college, no matter where you go, is an investment, and it can be pretty expensive. But we really think that we offer you a lot in terms of student experience, quality of education, the people you get to meet, the network you're a part of through being an alum here, and then of course the value of your education in terms of class rankings, or this major ranks here, and then of course the university as a whole. So we understand that it is an investment, but we do think that we're a really, really strong university for that. So one of the other things that is important is kind of keeping track of all these dates and deadlines. I know I've sent some through here pretty quickly. The slide that you're seeing now is going to go through that again. So it's going to talk about all the way in August, you got to start that application. You have a couple months to do that before November 1, which is early action. And then you will eventually get to that February 1 deadline. Of course, we want you all to focus on November, but February will be the final deadline. And then, of course, as the year goes on, you'll want to keep track of things like the FAFSA or things that concern that too. So really keep up with our calendar that's on our website too, in terms of the dates and deadlines that we have for you. But it's really important, just remember August 1, application is available. November 1 is when we want that in from you. And then of course, we'll kind of go around into the next year. Get to February 1, that's the regular decision application. If for some reason you can't get anything in on time, and then we always will have May 1 as the final day to make a decision. So the admissions process really takes almost a full year. The next thing that I really wanted to talk to you about is kind of, why Ohio State? Why do we think that Ohio State is the place to be? And I hope that you've gotten that from a lot of our students in terms of, the experiences that we've had here. But you're not really going to get a lot of that from being on this webcam. We really want you to come here and visit us and see us on one of our tours. So that is going to kind of be the bookend to the Why Ohio State piece as well. We have a great campus visit program where you get to spend 40 minutes with an admissions counselor talking about a lot of our programs, seeing some of the videos of the special events we have, and then you'll go on a 90-minute walking tour. Yes, 90 minutes, hour and a half of walking around campus with some of our student ambassadors. And that's another chance for you to get to interact with some of our students and hear about why they chose Ohio State and what they think is so amazing about this campus. So definitely sign up for a campus visit. We do also have virtual tours. Maybe if you're that student from San Diego or from Seattle, you can check out those videos, especially if you want to come after you've been admitted. So we have lots of campus visit days, whether you're coming for a special event or just any day of the week, or maybe around a fall football game. So check out those visit campus links. All right, so we're getting towards the end of our time, but I wanted to see if we had any other questions that students had. So keep writing in, we'll be here, and especially still on the open chat as well. So some of our admissions counselors will be around till 10 on there too.
So right now we have just a couple of questions that have come in during the presentation. One is from Annalise in Miami, Florida. Being that she's so far away, she wants to know how accessible it is to get to Columbus. Are there what's it like to fly into Columbus or even drive? And how easy is it to get to other regions of the country or even the world?
Yeah. So since you all are both from out of state, maybe you can talk about how you get home for winter break and things like that.
I'm sure I'll say this well, I can't as well, but we have an airport here in Columbus. It's about 20 minutes away through traffic, usually about 10-15 for driving. But freshman year high, I didn't have a car on campus, so I took a taxi during winter break and then a bus during spring break. And basically they have buses on campus, or you can call a taxi and they will pick you up and drop you off at the airport. And since there are so many out-of-state students at Ohio State, you will not be alone at all if you want to go home during a break. They also have a megabus system that runs the university. So if you live in like Indianapolis or Chicago or something like that, you can get on one of the megabuses and they'll drop you off. Even if it's like Toledo or like Cincinnati, somewhere even in state, those megabuses will go there. But I just bought a Delta airplane ticket and then just took a cab or took a bus to where I need to go. And the airport's like right here.
One of the cool things about Columbus too is it's a location to a lot of cities. So you can get to Indianapolis in about 3 hours. Same thing with Pittsburgh. We can also go to Chicago. That takes about 6 hours. Only 2 stops on the megabus to get to Chicago. I have a lot of friends who live in DC, and that's a quick airplane ride too, or even drivable. And of course, a lot of those other East Coast cities too, like Baltimore, Philadelphia, etc. So we're in a really good location if you want to explore the Midwest and even part of the East Coast.
One last question, and then one comment I have. But the last question is, if you guys have one piece of advice for rising juniors who will be seniors next year, starting that college search process, what would be that one piece of advice you would give them?
I would say definitely look for a place that you can call home. You're going to do a lot more than take classes wherever you go to college. So wherever you decide to apply, make sure to visit the campus, make sure you feel comfortable there, and you're going to be able to call that place your home for the next 4 years. And just make sure that's what you're looking for, not just a place to take classes at.
I agree. I definitely think you should visit, and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and ask questions, because some of the questions you ask lead to so many great opportunities. I'm just great. Excited to be here to
I would say kind of what they were saying, don't be passive in your college search. A lot of people just like, oh, just go to college, like just whatever college, like in state. But if you're like active about it, even if you're looking at other colleges, be active in those other colleges and just like ask yourself, do I really want to go here? And then if you don't want to go there, then mark it off your list. I feel like you should want to step on campus and be like, I'm home here, kind of like Cameron said. Like you should want to feel like you're a Buckeye, at least Ohio State. So just like be active in your college search and don't just like happen. That's my advice.
Yeah, from the admissions side of things, I really encourage you to find the admissions counselor that represents your territory. So you can go to our website and see all of us in terms of where we go. So we have a lot of people that travel out of state to recruit students, and then we have plenty of people who are local to make sure that we're serving our Ohio residents as well. So find who that person is. Let us help you. We do travel and we go to high school, so we'd be more than happy to meet with you then. We want to see you when you come on campus, and it is nice to kind of have that person who you stick with through the whole process. So really go to the OSU website, figure out who your contact person is, and just write that first letter to say hello, and let us help you through the process too.
All right, and then one last comment we have from a couple of proud alums here in Ohio from The Ohio State University are Jerry and Marie, and their simple comment is, OH!
Ohio! So that is all the time we have today. I hope you guys learned a lot about Ohio State through this process. We had fun. Hope you guys got to kind of say a lot about your Ohio State experience. I think it was a pretty cool hour. Learned a lot about the students myself. So of course, be in contact with us. Come visit and go Bucks.